It's time for another top 10 ranking. I'm going to discuss my top 10 favorite Giallo films. In case you don't know what that is for some reason, that's basically a murder mystery. Usually there's a police investigation and there's a masked killer or just a mystery killer and stuff like that. I mean, what qualifies a film to be a Giallo can be debated forever. Some people say Stage Fright from 1987 is a Giallo. Some people say that's not. There's all kinds of films like Pieces. Like, does it have to be Italian? I mean, if Pieces is a Giallo, which it was not listed as one, that would be my favorite Giallo if that qualifies. There's a police investigation. It's a mystery whodunit. It's a murder mystery. That's fucking awesome. So if Pieces counts, that's my number one. But it was not listed. I wanted to be sure that every movie I picked was a Giallo, so I went online and I looked up Giallos, and everything that I'm about to talk about was listed as ones. So let's get started with my number 10. My number 10 is a 1973 film called Torso. This movie is actually kind of gruesome for the time, but today's standards, not so much, but it's got a high body count and lots of nudity. Some of the most breasts I've ever seen in a single film. I thought the mystery was well written. You got quite a few red herrings in the film, and I thought the music was good. And the music overall is very peaceful and calm, which is a nice juxtaposition to the dark, sinister plot and the macabre things that are happening within the movie. There's some nice atmosphere to the film. I really like the suspenseful third act in the house with just the final girl there, seeing the killer, hacking up all her friends. I thought that shit was really intense. Some people might think this movie drags a bit, but I enjoyed it. Number 9 goes to my first Argento film on this list. Will it be the last? Find out. And that is Trauma. This movie has one of the most shocking end reveals. Like when you find out the motivation for why this killer is so pissed off, you understand why they're so upset. It is so freaking shocking. And I love that Brad Dourif is in this movie. He's not in it a whole lot, but it was nice to see him. I really like the weapon that the killer has in this movie. It's a decapitating gun. Like, it has like this wire noose, and you pull the trigger and it like decapitates them. It like starts to pull back and it slices through their neck very easily so that the killer doesn't have to like saw or anything. It's a very neat weapon and created by Tom Savini, I believe. He did the effects work for this film. You got Pino Donaggio doing the music, and it's not as good as stuff from other Argento films from Goblin, but still a good score. The acting in this movie isn't very good. You got Argento's daughter, Aja, I think, who her character is underage, but she's falling in love with this older guy, and we see her breasts, and the guy keeps saying that she's just a girl, but then he like tries to have sex with her right afterwards. It's very odd, and yeah, just some things don't make sense plot wise, but I still had a good time watching it. I think it's a little underrated when you talk about Argento films. This one hardly ever gets brought up. Maybe it's because it's a 90s flick and people like to hate on the 90s. I don't know what it is, but this is an Argento film that I think deserves more credit. Number 8 goes to a movie called The Red Queen Kills 7 Times. This is a movie I saw quite a few months ago, so my memory's not too good on it. I can't say a whole lot here. I didn't take notes, but I remember the mystery being well written, intriguing, lots of red herrings, and you even got the Halloween 2018 fence kill. We got that being done in this one. We actually get to see it happen, I think, going underneath the chin, out the mouth. So David Gordon Green stole that from this movie. And I remember the atmosphere being pretty good, like the third act in like this dungeon area. There's like a flooding going on, lots of rats, and kind of like a gothic horror atmosphere down there in the castle-like scenery. Number 7 goes to another Argento film, and that is Tenebre. This is one that a lot of people love. I like it, I just don't love it as much as others, but I love seeing John Saxon in this movie. I think the ending is fantastic, and I like the lead actor in the movie, the lead character. I don't know the actor's name, but I thought he was great. There's some plot conveniences and silly stuff going on in this movie. The kills in this movie are a mixed bag. One of them's really great. The other one's kind of mean, involving like a window, the head going through it, and then a couple of the other ones are just kind of lame gut stabs. And all done in the daytime too. This one has a lot of daytime photography, which was interesting and different. But yeah, it's a good Giallo worth checking out, so that is my number 7. Number 6 goes to Lucio Fulci's The New York Ripper. Will this be the last Fulci Giallo on my list? Stick around. So this one is probably his sleaziest film, and one of the sleaziest and grittiest freaking movies ever. It takes place in New York. There's lots of sex, sex shows, people watching other people have sex, lots of kinky things in here, people putting their feet on other people's vaginas. It's disgusting. There's lots of gratuitous gore also, close-up shots of eyeballs getting sliced open, eyeball stuff Fulci is famous for. The opening is pretty funny with the dog going to fetch a severed hand. I like the mystery in the movie, and I love that the killer in this movie quacks like a duck. That's hysterical and makes this movie stand out even more. Number 5 goes to Death Walks on High Heels. This one, out of all the Italian giallos, I think has some of the most Italian slappings I've seen in any film ever. That's what I noticed watching all these giallos for this ranking, is that there is a ton of Italians just slapping each other. They seem to always like slapping their women especially, and this one has a lot of it. I thought the mystery in this one was intriguing, and there's a brutal scene involving a woman getting like a Joker's smile sliced on her face, so that was pretty cool to see. Very brutal for the time. This was 1971. This one also has a little bit of humor, which was refreshing. Not a lot of these giallos had that, and the cinematography was about average, and there was some good performances. It just needed some more suspense, if you ask me, but still a giallo that's definitely worth seeking out. Number 4 goes to What Have You Done to Solange? This is a movie about a guy going around stabbing women in the vagina, and it looks brutal. This movie has Ennio Morricone, if that's how you say his name, doing the score, and it's a fantastic score, as always, from him. And I thought the story was very well paced and well written. It's not really as stylish or beautifully, the aesthetic and atmosphere isn't as good as some of the other movies I've talked about, but I think the story is what makes this movie stand above the rest. Number 3 goes to Blood and Black Lace. This movie is a beautifully atmospheric and stylish giallo from Mario Bava. It looks fantastic from beginning to end. Like, when it comes to lighting and the cinematography, this must be like the inspiration for Suspiria later on. The music in this movie was pretty good, and once again, the mystery, very intriguing, had me hook, line, and sinker. I was interested from beginning to end, well paced, and lots of red herrings, so I really like the mystery aspect to the film. This one also has a couple of very mean-spirited kills for the time, 1964 I want to say, and I like the twist reveal towards the end, and so yeah, that's something else that makes it stand out, because that's different from all these other giallos I've seen, this twist, so I like that. My number 2 will go to Lucio Fulci's Don't Torture a Duckling. And this movie is about killing kids. Sold! And this movie, like a lot of these other giallos, has a bunch of Italians slapping each other towards the end, and lots of boobs, once again. The music for me in this one is a mixed bag. I like some of it. No, it's not the same composer. I think it's the composer as Cannibal Holocaust. There's one cue that he overuses, but the other music was pretty good, especially like the soundtrack during that one scene by like the old abandoned church, whatever that scene is, with the voodoo lady whose acting is a little over the top in one moment. I thought that scene was pretty good when the mob justice starts. That was a freaking awesome scene, and the ending is brutal and spectacular and hilarious. Just it involves a fake dummy, and it's just hilarious what happens there. I don't want to say it, but watch the ending. It's jaw-dropping and just funny. I laugh every time I watch it. Of all of Lucio Fulci's films, I think this is probably his best written one. It actually is coherent, unlike some of his later films. It makes sense, and it paces very well. I was never bored watching it, and I just think it might be his best film overall. It's not his goriest, but it does have that kick-ass, funny, bloody finale. But my number 1 goes to, yet again, another Argento film, and that is Deep Red. This is my favorite Argento film, and it's my favorite Giallo film. This one just has everything to me. It's got a great mystery, and it's got a cool twist that makes you want to go back and watch the beginning and, see what you missed. Was that really there? Shit like that. That's always fun. And I like the kills in the movie. I like some of the bizarre choices, like the doll that comes walking out of the closet. I thought that was really creepy. The music in this movie is phenomenal by Goblin. Might go a little over the top in some moments, very loud, but that's just Goblin for you. And very Argento. And the cinematography is pretty great. Some good gory moments, some good kills. It might be a little slow to some. I think the pacing, especially if you watch the director's cut, it slows the film down even more. So watch the theatrical cut, which is more like an hour and 30, 40 minutes. I think the director's cut makes it 2 hours long. Don't watch that version. Watch the other version, the original one. So that's the best way to watch it. And one of the kills was later used in Halloween 2. That was interesting to see. But yeah, great movie. It's my favorite, my number one. And just to let you know, some other quick recommendations. I'm just going to shout them out real quick. So, other movies that I watched are, Phenomena, that was listed as a Giallo by Argento. That's a good one. Bay of Blood by Bava. And The Black Belly of the Tarantula was fine. Opera, Bird of the Crystal Plumage. And The Strange Vice of Miss Ward, that one was good. And like I said, Aquarius, aka Stage Fright, that's listed as a Giallo. I don't think it feels very much like a slasher movie to me. The Bloodstained Shadow, that one is not directed by Argento, but it feels very much like an Argento Giallo. And a recent one that came out that's like a throwback to Giallos of the day, back in the day, like an Argento film, is called Francesca. It's like Suspiria. It looks like they were very influenced by Suspiria when making that movie. Hatchet for the Honeymoon was fine. Not that great. And, The Bloody Iris, what's it called? The Case of the Bloody Iris, that one was good. The Lizard in the Woman's Skin was listed as a Giallo, but is it? I don't know. And Your Vice is a Locked Room and Only I Have the Key. That one was fine, not that great. But yeah, so those are some other Giallos that might be worth checking out. I also watched Cat of the Nine Tails like a year ago. I didn't rewatch it for this, so maybe that would have made my list had I rewatched it, but I didn't. And The Editor is a recent film. I think it's a Canadian film, and it's basically like a Giallo love letter, kind of spoof almost. It's very funny, very gory. It's hilarious. It's on Shudder. Check that out. And I was interested by the fact that they listed Macabre by Bava, Lamberto Bava, as the Giallo. That movie does not feel like a Giallo to me, but it was listed. I really like that movie, so check that out too if you want. So that's my list. Let me know what your top 10 Giallos are in the comments below that I should check out. And as always, if you like what you see here, you can hit this like button and become a subscriber today just by clicking on my cartoon face in about 5 seconds. And until next time, remember, it's just an opinion. You don't need to get butthurt about it.